Sometimes the most beautiful thing we can do is wake up and immediately reach for God's hand. Instead of trying to figure out the whole day by ourselves, we can simply ask Jesus to walk with us through every single moment. When we invite God into our day from the very beginning, something amazing happens. We don't have to carry the weight of uncertainty alone. The same God who painted the sunrise this morning wants to guide every step we take today. Today, we're going to ask Him to be our companion through every moment that comes our way. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let's pray together. Good morning, Lord. Thank you for this new day. Thank you for letting me wake up, for giving me another chance to walk with you. As I open my eyes to this fresh morning, I don't want to face it in my own strength. I want you right here with me, step by step, moment by moment. Father, I need you to walk with me today. I don't know everything that's going to happen. I don't know what challenges I might face or what surprises might come my way, but I know that if you are with me, I can handle anything. Your word says in Deuteronomy 31 verse 6, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." Lord, I'm holding on to that promise today. Lord, walk with me as I start my day. Whether I'm rushing to get somewhere or moving slowly through my morning, help me to remember that you're not in a hurry. You're patient with me. You love spending time with me. Help me to feel your presence, even in the simple things like making breakfast or drinking my morning coffee. Father, I need you to walk with me through my conversations today. Help me to speak with kindness. Help me to listen with love. Whether I'm talking to my family, my friends, my coworkers, or strangers I meet, let them feel your love through my words. Your word says in Colossians 4, verse 6, "Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." Lord, let my words today bring life and encouragement to everyone I meet. Walk with me through my work today, God. Whatever I'm doing, whether it's a job I love or a job that's hard, whether I'm at home or in an office, whether I'm taking care of family or serving others, help me to do everything as if I'm doing it for you. When I get tired, remind me that you give strength to the weary. When I get frustrated, help me to take a deep breath and remember that you are in control. Walk with me through my emotions today, Father. If joy comes my way, help me to share it with others and remember that you are the source of all good things. If sadness tries to knock me down, remind me that you are close to the brokenhearted. If anger starts to rise up in me, help me to handle it in a way that honors you. If fear tries to whisper lies to me, let your truth speak louder. Your word says in Psalm 16, verse 8, "I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken." Father, help me to keep my eyes on you no matter what I'm feeling. I need you to walk with me through my thoughts today, Lord. My mind can be such a busy place. Sometimes good thoughts come, and sometimes thoughts that aren't so good try to make themselves at home. Help me to capture every thought and make it obedient to you. When worry tries to move in, help me to replace it with worship. When doubt tries to speak up, help me to remember your promises. Help me to think about things that are good, pure, and lovely. Father, walk with me through my decisions today. From the big choices to the little ones, I want your wisdom. Help me to pause and ask you before I say yes or no to things. Help me to choose what's right over what's easy. Help me to choose love over fear, patience over frustration, and kindness over selfishness. Your word says in Proverbs 16, verse 3, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans." Lord, I commit this whole day to you. Walk with me through my meals today, God. Thank you for providing food for my body. Help me to be grateful for every bite, whether I'm eating with others or by myself. Let it be a time of thankfulness. Help me to take care of the body you have given me and remind me that you are the bread of life that satisfies my soul. I need you to walk with me through my interactions with technology today, Lord. My phone, my computer, social media, all of these things can either help me or distract me from you. Help me to use them wisely. When I see something that makes me compare myself to others, remind me that I am fearfully and wonderfully made by you. When I see news that makes me worried, help me to trust that you are still in control of the world. Walk with me through any challenges that come my way today, Father. I don't know what problems might arise, but I know that you are bigger than any problem I could face. If someone is unkind to me, help me to respond with grace. If something breaks or goes wrong, help me to stay calm and trust that you can work it out. If I feel overwhelmed, remind me to cast all my cares on you because you care for me. I need you to walk with me through my rest today, God. Help me to take breaks when I need them. Help me to not feel guilty about resting. You created rest for a purpose, and you want me to find my strength in you. Your word says in Matthew 11, verse 28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Lord, when I need rest today, help me to come to you. Lord, I need you to walk with me through my relationships today. Help me to love the people in my life well. If there's someone I need to forgive, give me the strength to do it. If there's someone I need to apologize to, give me the courage to reach out. If there's someone who needs encouragement, help me to be your hands and feet to them. Help me to see people the way you see them, with love, compassion, and hope. Walk with me through my responsibilities today, God. When I feel like I'm not doing enough or being enough, remind me that your grace is sufficient for me. Your word says in 2 Corinthians 9, verse 8, "And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work." Father, I trust that you will give me everything I need to do what you've called me to do today. I need you to walk with me through any temptations that might come today, Lord. When I'm tempted to gossip, help me to speak words of life instead. When I'm tempted to be impatient, help me to choose kindness. When I'm tempted to complain, help me to find something to be grateful for. When I'm tempted to give up, remind me of your strength that never fails. Father, walk with me through my acts of service today. Show me how to help others, even in small ways. Maybe it's holding a door open, letting someone go ahead of me in line, or simply smiling at someone who looks like they need encouragement. Help me to be your light in this world, not because I'm trying to be good, but because your goodness lives in me. Lord, I need you to walk with me through my worship today. Help me to praise you not just when things are going well, but in every moment. Help me to see your beauty and creation around me. Help me to be thankful for your blessings, both big and small. Let my whole day be an offering of worship to you. Walk with me through any disappointments that might come today, God. If something I was hoping for doesn't happen, help me to trust that you have something better. If plans change, help me to be flexible and trust your timing. Your word says in Jeremiah 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope in a future." Father, I believe that your plans for me are good, even when I can't see how. I need you to walk with me through my learning today, Lord. Whether I'm learning something new at work, discovering something about myself, or growing in my understanding of you, help me to have a teachable heart. When I make mistakes, help me to learn from them instead of being hard on myself. Help me to grow into the person you created me to be. Walk with me through any physical discomfort I might have today, Lord. If my body is tired, remind me that you give strength to the weary. If I have pain, help me to find comfort in your presence. If I feel healthy and strong, help me to be grateful and use my energy to serve others. Your word says in Isaiah 40, verse 31, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Father, I put my hope in you today. I need you to walk with me through my finances today, God. Whether I'm spending money, earning money, or just thinking about money, help me to remember that you are my provider. Help me to be wise with what you've given me and generous with those in need. When worry about money tries to creep in, remind me that you know what I need before I ask, and you will take care of me. Lord, walk with me through any loneliness I might feel today. Even if I'm surrounded by people, sometimes I can feel alone. Remind me that you are always with me. You never leave me. You understand me completely, and you love me unconditionally. Help me to find my identity in you, not in what others think of me. Father, I need you to walk with me through my dreams and hopes today. The things I'm hoping for, the goals I'm working toward, the dreams I carry in my heart, I surrender them all to you. Help me to hold them loosely, trusting that if they're from you, you'll bring them to pass in your perfect timing. If some of my dreams need to change, give me the grace to let you redirect my path. I need you to walk with me through my prayers today, Father. Help me to talk to you throughout the day, not just in formal prayer times. Help me to listen for your voice in the quiet moments. When I don't know what to pray, remind me that your Spirit intercedes for me with groanings too deep for words. Lord, walk with me through every breath I take today. From the moment I wake up to the moment I fall asleep, I want to be aware of your presence with me. Help me to live this day in a way that honors you, not because I'm trying to earn your love, but because I'm overwhelmed by the love you've already given me. Thank you, Father, for walking with me today. Thank you that I don't have to face anything alone. Thank you that your love goes with me wherever I go. Thank you that your peace guards my heart and mind. Thank you that your joy is my strength. Help me to be a blessing to everyone I meet today, Lord. Let them see you in my smile, hear you in my words, and feel you in my kindness. Use me to make someone's day a little brighter, someone's load a little lighter, someone's hope a little stronger. At the end of this day, Father, help me to lie down in peace, knowing that you have been with me through every moment. Help me to sleep well, knowing that you never sleep and you're watching over me and everyone I love. I love you, Lord. I trust you completely. I welcome you into every part of this day. Walk with me, talk with me, and help me to be more like you with every step I take. In Jesus' precious and holy name, I pray. Amen. If this prayer brought you peace, share it with someone who needs it today. You could be the reason someone feels God's love. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to keep growing in faith. God bless you and may his peace be with you always. Have you ever stopped to think about how you could transform your day before it even begins? And what if I told you that you don't need to change all the circumstances, just change your starting point? Today is not just another one, it is a divine opportunity, a blank page that the heavens have placed before you, and the first stroke can be written with prayer. Before moving on, write this phrase of faith in the comments. Today I walk as a firm tree in God. And if you feel that this word is already touching your heart, like it so that more people can awaken with this message of peace. God is waiting to be your first thought of the day, not your last resort. He desires for you to be like the man in Psalm 1, who does not walk according to the advice of the wicked, who does not stand in the way of sinners, nor sit with those who mock the righteous. God calls you today to a different path, a path that does not begin with anxiety, but with purpose, not with noise, but with direction. He who delights in the law of the Lord early, says the scripture, will be like a tree planted by streams of water, which bears fruit in its season, and whose leaves do not wither. And do you know what that means for you this morning? It means that no matter what happened yesterday, no matter what others said, or what has yet to come, if you choose to begin your day meditating on God, you are positioning yourself to prosper from the inside out. While many rise and are swept away by the noise of the world, you can choose to sit at the feet of the Creator and allow His words to be like deep roots in your soul. For he who plants his roots in God does not wither, does not stumble, does not fall when storms come. He remains standing, keeps flourishing, and continues bearing fruit. This is how you begin this day. Not running, not fleeing, not fearing, but trusting in the one who has planted you by his river of life. Make this prayer your anchor, your declaration, your true beginning, and get ready, because the rest of your day will not be the same. Each morning is a silent invitation, an opportunity to decide, to which voice will you listen today? The world screams, demands, pushes you to run without direction, to fill your mind with comparisons, goals, to-do lists, guilt. But there is another voice, softer, deeper, a voice that does not impose but transforms, the voice of God. Psalm 1 does not begin talking about actions, but decisions. He does not walk, he does not stand, he does not sit, meaning he does not let himself be carried away by any advice, nor walk in any direction, nor settle in environments that steal his soul. And you, where are you planted today? Because the place where you decide to take root determines the type of fruit you will bear. If you are planted in fear, you will reap anxiety. If you are planted in the approval of others, you will live frustrated. But if you are planted in God, you will flourish even in times of drought. Do you know what strong trees have in common? They do not rush, they do not compete, they are not in a hurry to show results. They simply remain connected to their source. And it's a silent connection that keeps them firm when the winds come. Today, instead of running after answers, stop for a moment, be silent, place your thoughts before God. Tell him, Lord, I do not want to begin this day with my own strength. I want to begin with you. I want you to plant me where you are. I want to be like that tree that does not wither, that bears fruit in perfect time, and whose leaves do not fade. And if you do this, you will see how even difficult days can become days of growth. Your stability will not depend on what happens outside, but on what is rooted within. Because the one who meditates on the word of God day and night, says the psalm, will be blessed in all that they do. It's not magic, it's a spiritual principle. Where your mind is at the beginning of the day, there your steps will walk, and today you have chosen wisely. One of the most powerful truths of Psalm 1 is that the blessed man does not only seek God, he also chooses to turn away from the noise that distracts him. He does not follow the advice of the wicked, nor stand in the way of sinners, nor sit in the company of mockers. Do you realize? This verse describes a dangerous progression. First you hear, then you stop, then you sit. And without realizing it, you are far from where you should be, but you have not been called for that. You were separated, chosen, planted with purpose. Your soul was created to hear the voice of God, not the echoes of doubt. Your mind was formed to embrace the truth, not to harbor lies disguised as logic. That is why starting the day with prayer is not just a spiritual routine, it is a mental protection act. It is deciding that before the world speaks, you have already heard your Father. There are pieces of advice that seem wise but lead to emptiness. There are paths that seem safe but end in destruction. There are words that sound beautiful but are loaded with deception. And there is one voice that never fails, the voice of God. When you choose to meditate on His Word, when you dedicate your first minutes to Him, something changes inside you. It is like cleaning the lens through which you see life. What once seemed confusing now becomes clear. What once hurt begins to heal. What seemed impossible now makes sense in God's time. The man who turns away from the noise of the world and immerses himself in the presence of God is the one who walks in paths of blessing. He does not need to run after human approval because he knows that he has already been approved by heaven. And you are here today, not by accident. You are here because something inside you longs for more and more peace, more direction, more communion with the eternal. And that, beloved heart, is the beginning of a blessed journey. Imagine for a moment a dry land without water, without shade. The plants wither, the trees break, but in the middle of that desert, there is a tree that remains green, strong, fruitful. What sets it apart from the others? It is not its size, it is not its age. It is its root, a root that does not depend on occasional rain because it has found a constant river underground. So is the person who lives connected to God. Though surrounded by chaos, it does not wither. It may face pressure, but it does not break. For it is not nourished by what happens outside, but by what flows from within, from the river of life, which is the presence of God. Psalm 1 beautifully expresses this. The righteous is like a tree planted by streams of water. It is not a passing shrub, nor a seasonal flower. It is a tree, and a tree is not formed overnight. It requires time, consistency, patience. But once you take root, nothing can move you. That is who you are. Even though the environment changes, even though the seasons vary, your soul is anchored in the eternal. And while many wear out on the outside, you are renewed from within. Do you know what happens with well-planted trees? They bear fruit, and not just any fruit. Fruit in its season, fruit that blesses, fruit that nourishes others. Do not worry if you don't yet see results. The important thing is to stay by the river, day after day, prayer after prayer, verse after verse. Your growth is not measured by speed, but by depth, and God is forming in you something that will last. Your fruit will come, your time will come, and when it does, it will be clear that heaven is the one who produced it. Today, as you pray and give your heart, remember you are not alone in this process. The divine gardener is tending to every part of you, and nothing you experience will be in vain. For those who are planted by God will bloom even when everyone expects them to fall. As the righteous stands like a tree by the waters, Psalm 1 shows us a strong contrast with those who live without divine direction. Not so the wicked, who are like chaff that the wind blows away. Have you seen chaff fly? It has no weight, it has no direction. Just one gust of wind and it is gone. So are those who walk without God's counsel. They seem free, but they are swept away by any current. They seem strong, but they have no roots. They seem to have everything until the storm comes. And you, where are you anchored today? If you choose to be planted in the Word, if you decide to begin your day with going, you are making a decision against instability. Because what others face with fear, you will face with faith. What shakes others will confirm you even more. Chaff may move faster, but the tree remains longer. And God did not call you to run through life without purpose, but to stand firm, full of life and lasting fruit. The righteous does not depend on circumstances to move forward. They move forward because they are connected to their source. And that source is Christ. It is His presence. It is His word that renews, guides, corrects, raises, and strengthens. That is why each morning you choose to begin in prayer. You are not just speaking to God, you are taking deeper roots. Roots that are unseen but that hold everything visible. Roots that prepare you for when the winds come. Roots that feed your faith in secret, but that will bear visible fruit at the right time. The planted tree does not despair over seeing results. It trusts in the season, trust in the process, trust in the care of the gardener, and you can do the same. Today is another opportunity to say, I do not want to be carried by the wind of this world. I want to be planted in the truth that never dries up. Make this moment your daily root, your true beginning. For when the day begins with God, nothing can blur your purpose. It is not just about opening your eyes. It is about awakening the soul, because there are those who are awake on the outside but still asleep on the inside. They live the day on autopilot, reacting to what happens, surviving instead of living. But you were called to more. You are not here by routine or by chance. God has prepared something for you today. And if you begin the day with Him, you will have ears ready to hear His direction and a heart open to follow His voice. It does not matter what happened yesterday. The dawn does not only bring light, it brings new mercy. It brings a fresh opportunity to start over. Morning prayer is that sacred moment where you choose to place your soul in the hands of the Creator before placing your feet on the ground. It is looking up before checking the clock. It is filling your mind with promises before filling it with to-dos. Many go out into the world without spiritual armor, exposed to fear, criticism, and confusion. But you can start the day differently, covered, strengthened, with a renewed mind and a firm heart. It is in those first minutes where much of the day is decided. The peace you choose upon waking, the surrender you make in prayer, the word you meditate on as you begin, all of this creates an invisible shield, a solid foundation upon which you walk. And when you make this a constant practice, you begin to notice the changes. Your reactions are no longer the same. Your decisions align with heaven. Your thoughts find rest, and your spirit rises above the circumstances. Waking up with God is not a magic formula. It is a relationship. It is daily soul training. And just as the tree in Psalm 1 does not bloom in a single day, neither will you see everything immediately, but you will see. You will see fruit. You will see transformation. You will see that chaos no longer has the final word. For when God is your first thought, the rest of the day aligns with His peace. There are decisions that seem small, but they determine the course of the entire day. One of them is how you choose to start your mornings. It is not just about the outer routine, but the inner focus. Do you wake up looking at the urgent or seeking the eternal? Do you rise already running after the clock? Or do you pause to tune your heart with heaven? Because when the first thing you do is seek God, your steps are no longer hurried. They are guided. Your words are no longer reactive. They are conscious. Your emotions are not overwhelmed. They are cared for. The righteous in Psalm 1 not only avoids the wrong path, but delights in the law of the Lord. And not once a week, says the text, but meditates on it day and night. This does not mean repeating verses endlessly, but living with the mind anchored in truth, with the heart connected to the source, with the soul thirsty for God's voice at every moment. And it starts in the morning when everything is still silent, when your mind has not been saturated, when the Spirit is waiting for you to say, "Here I am, Lord. I do not know what this day will bring, but I want to live it with you." Meditating on the word early is like preparing the ground. The seed of the day will fall on fertile soil, And instead of being dragged by the rush, you will walk with purpose. Instead of being swept away by fear, you will be propelled by faith. And instead of losing peace with the unexpected, you will respond with wisdom, because your mind was already renewed in the morning. Do not underestimate the power of that first moment of the day. Their invisible forces are activated, deceptive voices are silenced, and the heavens align with your day. And when this becomes a habit, your life stops being a reaction to the world and becomes a manifestation of heaven. There is something that strong trees have in common. They do not need to prove their strength. They live it from the root. No one sees them grow minute by minute, but everyone notices their shade, their height, and their fruit over time. So it is with your spiritual growth. Today's prayer may seem simple, but it is a seed, a deeper root, an invisible step toward a visible transformation. Many seek intense experiences, immediate answers, but Psalm 1 speaks of a blessing that comes through consistency, meditating day and night, seeking the Lord continuously, simply, faithfully. That is what shapes character. That is what shapes the soul. That is what keeps you standing when storms come. It is not enough to pray only when there is a crisis. It is not about seeking God only when everything falls apart. True strength comes from the habit, from that daily decision that says, before everything, I want to be with you, Lord. And that simple practice is what opens invisible doors. It is what aligns your heart with heaven and makes you recognize your true identity. Because when you meditate on the word, you remember who you are. You remember that you were not called to live driven by fear, nor to accept any voice that the world shouts at you. You were planted by God to bear fruit. You are not chaff. You are not adrift. You are a tree. You are strong on the inside. You are nourished by rivers of living water. And the more consistent you are in seeking that source, the more you will see the difference. Your reactions change. Your vision clears. Your heart becomes more sensitive to God's voice. The silent consistency of morning prayer transforms you without you realizing it. And one day, without knowing how, you will look back and say, I am not the same. Now I am firmer, calmer, more full of peace. And it all began with a decision, the decision to seek God from the dawn. Sometimes we feel nothing, we pray, and the heavens seem silent. We read and do not fully understand. We meditate and do not see immediate results. But that does not mean that nothing deep is happening. The most powerful processes are the quietest. What the eye does not perceive, the spirit is already receiving. That is how God's work functions, not always with strong emotions, but with constant formation. Not always with visible miracles, but with deeper roots. When you decide to start the day with Him, you are not fulfilling a spiritual obligation. You are opening your soul to a transformation that is real, even if it is not always evident. You are allowing God to change your reactions, heal your past, renew your mind, shape your words, and rewrite your story from the inside out. The tree does not decide in which season it will bloom, but it remains firm in each season, and that firmness is what makes it fruitful in its time. The same happens with you. You may be in an emotional winter today. You may not see fruits. Your prayers may seem to go unheard. But if you are by the river of God, you are growing. If you continue meditating on His word, you are being transformed. For true spiritual maturity is not measured by how strong you feel, but by how firm you remain when you feel nothing. Faith does not always shout. Sometimes it just endures. Sometimes it simply breathes and says, I don't understand, but I'm still here. I don't see fruit, but I keep trusting. I don't feel emotion, but I choose to believe. And that is deep-rooted faith. That is mature faith. That is what God honors. Today, more than seeking great signs, seek depth, seek consistency, seek intimacy, because everything you are sowing today will become fruit that will nourish your soul and also others around you tomorrow. There is no comparison between the chaff that the wind blows away and the tree that remains. Both exist, both are in the field, but only one leaves a mark. The righteous, says Psalm 1, does not only prosper, but his way is known by the Lord. That means he does not walk blindly, that every step he takes is under divine care, that his journey has direction, purpose, and meaning. And you who are here praying at the start of the day, are that righteous person that heaven looks upon with favor, not because you are perfect, but because you are planted in the right place, because you seek God when no one sees you, because you choose faith when everything seems dark, because you move forward even when your strength weakens. The world will measure you by results, but God measures you by faithfulness. And in that daily faithfulness, in that constant decision to seek His face, you are building a path that leaves footprints. Footprints of faith, footprints of peace, footprints of hope for others who will come behind. Because the tree planted by streams of water does not only nourish itself, it provides shade to the weary, refuge to the vulnerable, and fruit to the hungry. You are not just growing for yourself. Your prayer today will bless your day, yes, but it will also touch your family, your coworkers, everyone who crosses your path. The righteous does not live for himself, he lives to reflect the life of the one who planted him. And even though Psalm 1 ends, saying that the way of the wicked will perish, the way of the righteous remains, because it is known by God, upheld by Him, and planted to bear fruit that endures to eternity. So keep walking, keep praying, keep trusting. Because each day you choose to be by the river, you become more like the tree that doesn't fall, the tree that blooms when no one expects it, the tree that leaves a mark on the earth and a fragrance in heaven. Many build their day based on goals, to-dos, and clocks. They run from side to side trying to perform, to fulfill, to prove. And it's not wrong to organize. But what if you started with what is essential? Before thinking about the urgent, think about the eternal. Before feeding your body, feed your spirit. When God is first, everything else finds its place. The morning is not just the start of the day, it is the door to your soul. What you allow into those first hours will mark everything that comes afterward. If you enter the day with anxiety, you will see everything through the lens of pressure. But if you enter with prayer, you will see everything through the eyes of peace. It's not about how much time you pray, but about the awareness with which you pray. A sincere minute in God's presence is worth more than an hour repeating empty words. Because that sacred moment, when you choose to place your heart before Him, is the instant when heaven aligns with your soul. There you find direction. There the internal voice is calm. There your mind becomes clear and your heart becomes firm. And it doesn't matter if there is noise, chaos, or uncertainty on the outside, because you already carry a peace within that does not depend on what is external. You carry a light that is not extinguished by the wind. The morning can be your battlefield or your altar of worship. You decide. And when you choose to begin the day with God, you are building on rock. You are preparing the ground for blessing. You are making space for the Holy Spirit to guide you, protect you, and strengthen you in every step. Make your morning an encounter with the eternal, and you will see how the rest of the day becomes a response. Everything we do carries energy, a word, a decision. Everything has an origin, and that origin is within you. That's why praying at the beginning of the day doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how you act. When your soul is at peace, your voice becomes softer, your responses are wiser, your steps become firmer. It's not that the world stops having chaos, it's that you no longer carry it inside. How many times do we react harshly because there wasn't a moment of stillness? How many times do we speak without thinking because we didn't give God space to speak first? But you are here, and that already makes the difference. Every prayer, every thought lifted to heaven is a seed of transformation. You don't need everyone to change to have peace. You only need God to rule your inner world. And when He does, the external loses the power to alter you. From a life of prayer, a life of purpose is born. You no longer do things by inertia, but by conviction. You no longer walk reacting, but discerning. You no longer speak from the wound, but from the wisdom that comes from heaven. The righteous of Psalm 1 prospers in all that he does. Not because everything is easy, but because he has learned to do things with his heart connected to God. And that can also be your path. Today, before the demands push you, stop, breathe, pray. Ask God to fill your inner world with peace, so that everything that flows from you carries the mark of His presence. Your attitude can be your greatest testimony, and if it starts in prayer, it will carry you where there was once only shadow. We all want to live in peace, but very few understand that peace does not depend on what is outside, but on what we build within. Morning prayer is like preparing the climate of your soul. It's deciding what you will allow to bloom inside of you. It's sowing hope before challenges arrive. It's choosing thoughts of faith before fear has room. Because what you carry within determines how you face what comes from the outside. And when you start your day with God, your inner world becomes strong, serene, balanced. You no longer react from anxiety, but from the certainty that you are not alone. The tree of Psalm 1 does not move with the wind because it has deep roots. And your roots also deepen each time you pray sincerely. Each time you choose to trust instead of fear. Each time you surrender your plans to the Lord and say, "Direct my steps today." Creating that inner environment takes time, but it is possible. And it is worth it. Because when there is peace inside, not even the shouts of the world can make you tremble. When there is purpose in the soul, not even external doubts can make you retreat. Sometimes we seek that everything around us changes, but God wants to first transform the internal climate. He wants your heart to be His resting place. He wants your mind to be fertile ground for His word. He wants your spirit to be a home for His presence. And when that happens, it no longer matters if the circumstances are not perfect. You are firm, you are rooted, you are at peace. Morning prayer is not just a spiritual discipline. It is an act of daily construction. It is like building an invisible fortress from which the enemy cannot enter. Today, take one more moment, close your eyes, and tell the Lord, "Clean my inner world. Create in me an environment of faith. Do not let the day start with fear, but with the certainty that you are with me, because whoever starts with God walks covered with something the world cannot take away." God does not just want you to mention Him. He desires to walk with you. He doesn't want a place in your agenda. He wants space in your heart. Not just in the mornings, but in every thought, every decision, every step. And it is in morning prayer where that relationship begins to strengthen. Because you are not speaking with a distant God, but with a Father who knows you better than you know yourself. Intimacy with God is not built with beautiful words, but with sincerity, with time, with surrender. Sometimes you only need to say, "Lord, I'm here. I don't have much to offer today, but I want you to be with me." And He responds with peace, with presence, with that sweet feeling that no matter what comes, you are not alone. The righteous of Psalm 1 meditates on the word day and night because he has understood that being with God is not an occasional event. It is a continuous friendship, a fellowship carried in the soul, like a soft melody that accompanies the whole day. When you pray in the morning, you are not just seeking protection or direction. You are opening your soul for Him to dwell in you. And when God dwells, everything inside you begins to align. Impatience transforms into calm, anguish into trust, weariness into purpose. You don't need all the words, you just need to open your heart. And as you do this every day, that relationship deepens. You begin to recognize His voice in the midst of noise. You begin to feel His embrace in the midst of pressure. You begin to walk with confidence because you know He goes before you. God does not demand perfection from you. He invites you into closeness. And every morning, when you choose to be with Him, you are saying, "I want to walk with you today, not just speak to you. I want to hear you, not just worship you. I want to know you." And that changes everything. There is a quiet truth that transforms hearts. Not everything is under your control, but everything is under God's control. And when you truly understand this, anxiety loses strength, fear dissolves, and the need to have all the answers disappears. Because you know you are not holding it all together. God is the one who holds you. At the beginning of the day, that is one of the most important decisions you can make, to surrender control. To say to the Lord, "Today I don't want to cling to my plans. I want to trust in yours. Even if I don't fully understand them, I know that your ways are better." The tree of Psalm 1 does not prosper by its own effort, but by its location. It is planted by streams of water. It is in the right place, and that is why it bears fruit in the right time. So too you. You don't need to solve everything with your own strength. You just need to be in the right place, in the presence of God. And that starts with daily surrender, a humble yielding that recognizes, "My thoughts are limited, but your plans are eternal. My strength fades, but your power is perfected in my weakness. Each morning is an opportunity to let go and trust, to let go of the need to control, to release the pressure of proving, to release the fear of the future, and to trust that the one who created you will also guide you. Because when you begin the day surrendering everything, everything else falls into place. Peace accompanies you, direction arrives on time, and your heart remains firm, even when the journey is uncertain. Today is a good moment to take a deep breath and say with faith, Lord, take control, direct my steps, I trust in you. Morning prayer is not only for the strong, it is especially for the weary, for those who don't know where to begin, for those who open their eyes with hearts still broken, but with the silent desire to move forward. And God loves meeting with such people, real people, people who don't come to pray with a perfect speech, but with a sincere soul. Perhaps today you woke up with questions, with exhaustion, with an open wound that you haven't been able to close, and you wonder if God still listens to you, if He still cares about what you're going through. The answer is yes, He is here, and every prayer that comes from your fragility touches heaven with a strength you cannot imagine. Intimacy with God is not about pretending to be well. It's about presenting yourself as you are, opening your thoughts, your fears, your struggles, and allowing His love to enter every corner. When you pray in the morning, you are entering a safe place, a space where you don't need to explain yourself too much because God already knows the deepest parts of your being. He just wants to listen to you. He just wants to embrace you. He just wants to remind you that you are not alone. The tree in Psalm 1 has deep roots. And do you know how those roots grow deep? Through the process, through pain well surrendered, through time spent in silence with God. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable before Him. Don't hide your battles. Don't disguise your tears, because the more real you are in prayer, the more space you give God to act. Today could be the day your healing begins. Today could be the day you stop carrying the burden alone. Today could be the day you finally say, God, I can't do this anymore. But here I am, and if you are with me, that is enough. And heaven will respond, I was always with you, you just needed to open your soul. And sometimes we feel like we aren't changing, that we continue with the same struggles, the same heavy thoughts, the same draining emotions, but what we do not see, God does, and what appears static on the surface is being worked on in the roots. The righteous in Psalm 1 does not bloom in a single day, does not bear fruit all year, but continues to be righteous, continues to be planted, continues to be loved by God in every season, so too are you. You may not see results today, but God is healing what no one else sees. He is organizing the inner chaos. He is touching memories that still hurt. He is renewing thoughts that no longer serve you, and He is doing it in the silence of your surrender. Morning prayer is much more than a spiritual moment. It is a place of restoration, a secret workshop where God repairs what the world has broken. Perhaps no one else knows what you have lived. Perhaps no one understands what you carry in your soul. But the Creator knows, and not only understands it, He can handle it. Every tear you didn't show, He counts. Every night you couldn't sleep, He saw. Every prayer you made without words was heard with eternal depth. And that is why you are here, not because you are perfect, but because you keep trusting, you keep coming, you keep opening your heart, even with pieces, and God honors that. He doesn't just heal your body, He heals your story, He heals your memories, He heals the way you see yourself, and day by day, He transforms you from the invisible to the eternal. Today, while you pray, you may not feel anything, but there is movement in the spiritual realm. There is light entering where there was once shadow. There is a silent, deep, real healing. And trust in that process and keep returning to this source every morning, because the work that God started in you, He will finish. One of the most subtle attacks of the enemy is to make you forget who you are. He distracts you with fatigue, confuses you with the opinions of others, wears you out with internal battles until one day you look at yourself and don't recognize yourself. But prayer, especially in the morning, is that moment where your true identity returns to your heart, where your soul shakes off the dust of the previous days and remembers that it was not called to crawl through life, but to walk with purpose. You are not your mistakes. You are not your worst day. You are not what was done to you or what was said to you. You are a tree planted by streams of water. You were planted with intention, designed by heaven, chosen to remain and to flourish. The world wants to make you forget that. That's why it screams. That's why it accelerates. That's why it demands. But every morning God whispers, "You are still mine. I still have a plan for you. You can still bear fruit." When you pray at dawn, you are choosing to remember. Remember that there is a voice louder than your doubts, that there is grace greater than your falls, that there is a love firmer than any rejection. That is your root, that is your center, and when the day starts from there, no storm can tear you away from your purpose. Maybe you fell yesterday, but today you are rising. Maybe you doubted yesterday, but today you are here seeking, and that is courage, that is real faith. That is what makes God look at you and say, "Here is one of mine, not perfect, but planted in me." So before you go out into the world, make this prayer. Lord, remind me of who I am in you. Cleanse the lies I gathered yesterday. Reorder my mind. Strengthen my steps. Help me walk with the dignity that comes from knowing I am your child. Because when you know who you are, you no longer walk with fear. You walk with purpose. You don't know everything that awaits you today, but God does, and that should be enough for you to rest. While you were sleeping, He was already preparing paths. While you struggled between doubts, He was already arranging what seemed out of place. That's why praying at dawn is not just an act of faith. It is a silent declaration that says, "Lord, I don't need to have everything figured out. I just need to know you are with me." The tree planted in Psalm 1 doesn't worry about the drought because it knows where its roots are. So too you can face this day, not with fear, but with confidence. There may be challenges, there may be unforeseen things, but you are no longer going alone. Heaven accompanies you, and if you choose to start each morning this way, you will see how everything around you begins to take shape, because your inner world is already in order. If today you wish to fully trust in God's care, write in the comments, "My day is in the hands of the Lord." Let that phrase be your seed of faith in this dawn, and if this prayer is aligning your soul with God's peace, leave your like and share this moment with someone who needs to begin the day the same way, with purpose, confidence, and divine presence. You never know who you might touch with a simple prayer, and maybe through you, the miracle will begin in another heart. God doesn't shout, He doesn't interrupt, He doesn't invade. He speaks, but only those who tune their ears can recognize Him. And that ability to hear His voice is not developed by chance. It is cultivated in intimacy. It is activated early when you decide to start your day in prayer. You are not just making a surrender, you are adjusting your spiritual frequency. Just like a musician tunes his instrument before playing, your soul needs to be tuned before facing the symphony of the world. Because there are many voices out there. Voices that pressure you, voices that compare you, voices that make you doubt your value, your purpose, your identity. But the voice of God is different. It does not accuse you, it affirms you. It does not confuse you, it clarifies you. It does not pressure you, it guides you with tenderness and firmness. And that voice, though soft, is powerful. When you learn to listen to it, your heart begins to walk with peace. Your mind aligns, and your decisions are filled with discernment. That's why the righteous of Psalm 1 meditates day and night. Because meditation is not just reading, it is listening again. It is stopping. It is making space for the eternal in the midst of the urgent. Maybe today you will face important decisions. Maybe you will have to choose between paths. Maybe you will hear advice that seems logical, but does not come from God. That's why morning prayer is so essential. It is the moment you ask for wisdom before acting. It is when you say, Lord, I don't want to be guided by my emotions. I want to be guided by your voice." And God responds, maybe not with thunder, but with a sudden peace, with a biblical reminder, with an unexpected direction in the midst of silence. Whoever tunes their ears in the morning recognizes the answers throughout the day. And whoever walks listening to the Spirit does not stumble in the dark. Hope is not automatic. It is cultivated. It is protected. It is fed every day, especially in the first minutes of the morning. There are days that dawn gray, days when opening your eyes already feels heavy, when the routine becomes dense and the news seems to drain all faith. That's why it is so important to pray at the start, because hope needs to be fed before the day tries to drain it. And I'm not talking about superficial optimism. I'm talking about that firm, deep hope that does not rely on what you see, but on the one who promised to be with you. The righteous of Psalm 1 meditates on the word because there he finds foundation. There he remembers that his life is not random, that his story is in the hands of the perfect author, that his journey has a higher course than any momentary circumstance. When you pray, you are not ignoring reality. You are choosing to look higher. You are declaring, even without words, the world may be unstable, but I am planted in something eternal. There may be pain, but I am not without direction. Every word that comes out of your mouth in prayer is a seed, and every seed of faith watered with sincerity will bear fruit at the perfect time. Maybe your hope is weak today. Maybe you don't even feel like trying, but being here, making this prayer, is already an act of courage. It is the sign that you haven't given up, and God honors that. The hope that comes from heaven does not depend on your mood. It is activated by faith, by perseverance, by that constant pursuit that says, I don't understand everything, but I keep believing. Just as the tree waits for the rain without pulling itself from the ground, so too you can wait, you can trust, you can keep breathing, knowing that the one who planted you will also sustain you. Today, make this choice. Before going out into the world, fill your soul with hope. Pray with freedom. Remember the promises. Declare that this day will not be governed by fear, but by the certainty that God continues working, even in what you don't yet see. Not everything you carry deserves to continue with you. There are burdens that were not designed to cross this new day, guilt that has already been forgiven, mistakes that have already been redeemed, memories that are just stealing your peace. And if there is a perfect moment to let go, it is now, when you wake up, when the mind is still quiet and the heart is most willing to surrender. Morning prayer is also that, a surrender, a silent act of inner cleansing, saying to God, I don't want to start this day carrying what I should have already let go. You were not called to start each day with your hands full of the past. You were created to walk light, to move forward freely, to bloom without chains. And it is in this intimate conversation with God that you can do that, where you can cry if needed, confess what hurts, and lay at the feet of the Lord everything that no longer builds. Maybe there are still words that hurt you, and you repeat them silently every morning. Maybe there are decisions you cannot forgive yourself for, even though God already has. But today, in this moment, heaven offers you new grace, not another opportunity to punish yourself, but an invitation to rise. God does not call you to relive your failures. He calls you to trust in his redemption. And when you come sincerely, he responds with tenderness. Remember this, the tree that remains by the river does not carry dry branches forever. From time to time, it lets go of what no longer serves so that the new can grow. And you also need to let go, not to forget, but to be healed. Today can be that day. Today you can say, Lord, here I give you what still hurts me. I don't want to carry it anymore. Cleanse me, renew me. I want to start this day truly free. And when you do this, your soul breathes, your mind clears, and the Spirit of God begins to fill the spaces that the weight had occupied. There are days when you will wake up with unanswered questions, with paths ahead but without clarity, with decisions to make and an unsettled soul, and that's okay. Faith does not require having everything figured out. It only needs one certainty, that God is still faithful. Morning prayer is also that a space where you can say, I don't understand what you're doing, but I trust that you're doing it right. Because trust is not blind, it is spiritual. It is not based on what you see, but on the one who sees everything. Sometimes you seek explanations, but what your soul really needs is rest. Rest in God's character, rest in his promise, rest in his timing. And while you doubt yourself, God does not doubt what he can do with you. He is not limited by your uncertainty, nor surprised by your questions. He still has a plan. And if you choose to walk with him, you will discover that you don't need to know everything. You only need to be with the one who knows. The righteous in Psalm 1 prospers not because everything is clear from the start, but because he remains close to the source, close to the river, close to the heart of God, and that is enough. Today, you can give your questions. You can let go of your need for control. You can begin the day with a simple yet powerful phrase. Lord, guide me. Even though I can't see the map, I trust that you know the destination. And that trust will open paths, bring calm, activate a peace that does not depend on explanations, but on presence. God did not ask you to understand everything. He only asked that you not let go of his hand. Not all mornings bring sunshine. There are cloudy mornings. There are days that begin with weight, with news that hurts, with accumulated tiredness that does not disappear after one night of rest. And it is precisely in those kinds of days that you need to pray the most. Because strength does not always come through motivation, it comes through connection. When you connect with God early, you're not waiting to feel strong, you are receiving strength that does not come from you. The Apostle Paul wrote, "When I am weak, then I am strong," because he understood that his power was not enough, but God's grace was. And that same grace is available for you today, here now. Perhaps you woke up exhausted with emotions you cannot explain, with battles that don't seem to end, with burdens you cannot share with anyone else. But if you are here praying, that is already a sign that you haven't given up. And heaven honors that silent resistance, that decision to keep seeking, to keep believing, to keep breathing in faith, even when everything shouts that it's not worth it. The tree of Psalm 1 remains firm even when the rain is delayed because it does not depend on what falls from the sky, but on what flows beneath. Its roots touch the water, and when you pray, your roots also touch the river of the Spirit. They come to life, they find calm, they find purpose. God does not promise that every day will be easy, but he does promise to be with you in all of them. And when you are with him, even when everything around you is falling apart, something within you remains standing, because that is the strength that comes from above. It doesn't shout, it doesn't boast, it just lifts you up and allows you to take one more step. This is not a nice phrase, it is a spiritual truth. When God is first, everything else finds its place. It doesn't mean that everything will be perfect. It means that even the imperfect will be used for your good, that even the struggles will have purpose, and the losses will leave seeds for growth. That is why you are here beginning your day with him, because something inside you has already understood that living without his presence is not enough. You can have a full agenda, an active life, clear goals, but if you are not connected to the source, everything empties quickly. Morning prayer is a way of rearranging the soul. It's putting the Holy Spirit at the forefront of your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions. It's telling God, I don't want you to bless my plans. I want to walk in yours. It's recognizing that before work, before problems, before people, you want to be with him, and that changes everything. Because when he is the center, everything else loses the power to govern you. The criticisms no longer define you. The worries no longer paralyze you. The distractions no longer steal the essentials. The righteous in Psalm 1 prospers not because he controls everything, but because he prioritizes the eternal. And that is your decision today, to choose the eternal, to choose what cannot be seen, but which holds everything else, to choose why not as an addition, but as your foundation. Do it every morning, do it with intention, and you will see that even though not everything changes around you, you will change inside, and that is enough to transform your world. A seed does not demand that the earth give it immediate results. It simply trusts, stays, and waits. So too is the soul of the righteous. It remains by the river, keeps meditating on the word, keeps praying every morning, and one day, without knowing how or when, begins to see fruit of peace in the midst of chaos, fruit of wisdom and decision-making, fruit of temperance when everything pushes to uncontrollability, fruit of faith even when there are no signs. Psalm 1 declares clearly, "The righteous is like a tree planted by streams of water that bears its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither." This means that it does not depend on the external season, but on the river that nourishes it from within. You also have that river. The Spirit of God flows inside you, and the more you draw near, the more life begins to sprout. Do not worry if you do not see results yet. God is growing something in secret, and what seems like silence today will be a testimony tomorrow. There will be fruits that others will see, and fruits that only you will know have been born, fruits of inner healing, of self-control, of forgiven burdens, of decisions guided by heaven. And the best part of all of this is that your fruit will bless others. Because a tree does not eat its own fruit, it offers it to those who pass by thirsty on the road. So too, you, as you pray, as you grow, as you remain, are becoming a response for others, a shade for the weary, a direction for the lost, nourishment for the wounded soul. Do not underestimate the power of what you are doing today. The fruit will come, and when it does, you will know that it was worth staying. The seasons change, the spiritual climate changes too. There are days of sun and days of storm, days of progress and days of waiting. But when you are planted in God, there is something inside you that does not wither. Psalm 1 says that the leaves of the righteous do not fall. Do you know what that means? That there is a grace that sustains you, that there is an invisible strength that does not depend on your surroundings, but on your connection to heaven. While others dry up inside amidst the crisis, you remain green. While others fade because of circumstances, you preserve life, faith, and purpose, not because you are stronger, but because you are connected to the source of life. Your leaves do not fall because your root is hidden in God. Because in morning prayer, you receive the water you need. It is something that others may not see, but you know. You know that without that moment with God, everything else loses meaning. And even though some may not understand your consistency, even though others may not value your silence, you remain firm, not out of pride, but out of conviction, because you have tasted what it is like to walk without God, and you don't want to go back there. The leaves represent your testimony, your stability, the beauty of a faith that is not perfect, but is persevering. And every morning you choose to pray, even if with tiredness, even if with few words, you are watering those leaves with faithfulness. You are telling heaven, I don't know how this day will be, but I want to live it with you. And that is enough for your leaf not to fall. Because when you are rooted in God's presence, neither the cold of discouragement, nor the wind of criticism, nor the drought of uncertainty can dry you up. All that you do will prosper. That is one of the most impactful promises in Psalm 1, and yet we often understand it incompletely. God's prosperity is not just about succeeding in business, nor achieving visible goals, nor receiving human applause. It is something much deeper, more lasting, more valuable. It is having peace in the midst of pressure. It is making decisions with wisdom. It is knowing when to advance and when to wait. It is having a healthy soul, a firm heart, and a spirit sensitive to the voice of God. That is true prosperity, and it begins from the place where you are now in prayer. When you put God first, He begins to order everything else not as you expect, but as only He knows how to do it. And what once seemed stagnant begins to move. What once seemed small begins to multiply. What once frightened you no longer has power over you. Because when your soul prospers, your whole life reflects it. Your environment changes because you change. Your relationships heal because you heal. Your purpose becomes clearer because your heart is no longer full of confusion, but full of presence. God doesn't want you just busy. He wants you fruitful. He doesn't want you just visible. He wants you rooted. And that is what you are building now, with every prayer, with every surrender, with every morning you decide to consecrate before acting. You may not see everything now, but the prosperity of heaven has already begun in you. And when that happens, everything you do, even if small, carries the touch of the eternal. The last verse of Psalm 1 is clear and direct. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish. It is a firm declaration, a promise of care, but also a warning of destiny. And you who are here seeking God at dawn can walk today with the certainty that you are not alone, that your path is not ignored in heaven, that every step you take, every choice you make, every prayer you lift is known and accompanied by the God who watches over the paths. That does not mean there will be no obstacles, but it does mean that you will not walk without direction, that there will be enemies, but there is divine covering. While many go through life being carried away, you are being guided, and there is a big difference between moving impulsively and walking with purpose. The righteous is not guided by the noise, but by the word. He does not throw himself haphazardly, but prays, discerns, and then acts, and this makes his path guarded, not perfect, but protected, not free from struggles, but full of meaning. God watches over those who honor him, and honoring him is not just worshiping with words. It is choosing him every morning, putting him at the forefront of your agenda, trusting in his direction when yours runs out. You are not improvising your life. You are following a heavenly design. Even if you do not see all the details, the architect of your story is still drawing every line. And as long as you keep seeking him, he will continue watching over your path, saving you from hasty decisions, closing doors that seem good but are not, diverting you from people who are not good for you, and aligning you with purposes you cannot yet imagine. Today you can take another step knowing this. The path of the righteous is invisible to the eyes of the world, but completely visible to the care of God. Every time you rise and pray, even though you may not feel it, even though you may not see it, you are leaving a mark, an invisible imprint in the spiritual atmosphere, a seed of faith that will one day bear fruit, not only in your life, but also in the lives of others. Perhaps you do not realize it, but there are people watching your faith, your consistency, your way of facing battles. And though they say nothing, something in them is being impacted. Because a life planted in God does not only prosper for itself, it becomes shade for others. You are building an inheritance, one that is not measured in properties or numbers, one that does not trade on the stock market, but is more valuable than any wealth. You are raising a spiritual legacy, a story marked by God's presence, a journey that when others look back, they will be able to say, "That person walked with God, and because of their faithfulness, I too believe." The children watch, the friends perceive, your community is touched, even when you do not see it. That is why every morning prayer matters, every act of faith, every moment of surrender, every yes you give to heaven before starting the day. You are writing something eternal, and the eternal is not in a hurry, only purposeful. Do not underestimate the impact of your search. God is watching it, and many others will see it later. Because the fruits of the righteous do not end when the sun sets, they multiply, they expand, they are inherited, and you, even if you do not know it yet, are building something that will speak of God long after this day ends. Spiritual growth does not always make noise. Sometimes there are no tears, no tremors, no deep words, just a constant search, a faithfulness built in the everyday, an honest prayer on any given morning. And that is where God works the most. He is not so interested in the spectacular, but in the stable. He does not seek passing emotions, but available hearts. Every time you come before him in the morning, even if you do not see it, you are being transformed. Your thoughts are being renewed. Your reactions are being refined. Your character is being purified. Day by day, prayer after prayer, surrender after surrender. Just as the potter works with the clay, God places his hands upon you without harming you, but without leaving anything the same. He knows your cracks, your fragile areas, your scars from the past, and instead of discarding you, he reshapes you. That is the power of morning prayer. It is not just speaking, it is allowing the Creator to redesign you. Many want to be used by God, but few are willing to be molded. And that molding happens here, in the secret, in the silent moment where you say, "Lord, do in me what you want." Every time you choose to seek what is first, before seeking the world, you are saying, "I prefer your process over my plans. I prefer your design over my comfort." And that pleases heaven. Because God does not seek finished pieces. He seeks willing hearts, soft souls in his hands, spirits sensitive to his voice. Today as you pray, perhaps you will not see external changes. But inside of you, God is smoothing corners. He is removing hardness. He is breathing life over areas you thought were dry. And if you remain, if you keep coming every morning, others will soon see what God has done in you. Not for vanity, but for him to be glorified, because every person molded in secret shines with humility in public. Praying is not only for enduring the day, it is to transform the world as you walk through it. When you pray every morning, you are not just surviving, you are receiving direction, power, and anointing to bring light where others see only darkness. Prayer strengthens you, yes, but it also positions you. It reminds you that you are not here by chance, nor are you just another face in the crowd. You are a carrier of His presence, and that changes everything. Maybe you don't feel prepared. Maybe you think you don't have enough faith, wisdom, or resources. But every encounter with God in intimacy fills you with what you need to impact out there. The tree of Psalm 1 is not only strong on the inside, it also bears fruit. It also provides shade. It also becomes a refuge for others, so too do you. That peace you are receiving today will be comfort for someone else tomorrow. That word God whispers to your heart, one day you will repeat it to another at the exact moment. That healing you are experiencing deep within will be a testimony for others who are still broken. God is not only restoring you, He is preparing you. And when you least expect it, you will discover that your journey of faith has become a bridge for others to walk toward heaven. That is why every morning counts. Every prayer has a purpose. Every tear shed here will be a seed of blessing later. Today as you pray, do not see yourself only as someone in need. See yourself as someone called, someone in process, someone being equipped to bring life where there is death, faith where there is hopelessness, light where everything seems closed. Because God does not just want you strong, He wants you available. You have come this far. And that in itself is an act of faith. Because you could have started your day running, carrying your thoughts without processing them, letting yourself be carried away by the urgent. But you didn't. You chose the eternal. You chose to open your heart to God before opening your agenda. You chose to drink from the river before exposing yourself to the sun. You chose to listen to the voice that builds you instead of the noise that distracts you. And that, yes, that is what makes you righteous. Not perfect, not unquestionable, but righteous. Because you decided to plant yourself near the river, to meditate on His word, and to allow your soul to be watered with the eternal. Today is not just a new day, it is another step in your transformation, another step in your maturity, another day in which God continues to work, shaping, guiding, restoring. You may not see fruit today, but the tree does not cease to be a tree when it is not yet harvest time. Keep standing firm, keep drinking, keep growing. This is what you are doing here, remaining, flowing, trusting. And while you do, God is building you from the invisible, from the depths, from the place where no one else sees, but where everything begins. So go out into the world now, not as just another person in the crowd, but as one who has been with God, as one who has been touched, nourished, strengthened to give shade, fruit, and direction. And when the voices of the day try to confuse you, return here, return to the root, return to the river. For those who dwell in the presence of God will never be moved. This was not just a moment of prayer, it was an act of sowing, a quiet step toward a life that is firmer, fuller, more anchored in God. You will not leave this encounter the same. Something inside of you has been affirmed. Your root has touched the river. And even though you may not feel it now, that water will continue flowing throughout your day. Take this truth in your heart. God honors those who seek Him in secret. And you did. You chose Him before you chose your tasks. You put Him first. And that has power. Remember what Psalm 1 says? The righteous is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. And everything he does will prosper. Today was the beginning, but tomorrow may be even deeper. You just need to return to the river, return to the root, return to that place where God is always waiting for you with open arms and living water ready to fill you again. Thank you for allowing yourself this space. Thank you for sowing faith with your presence here. And thank you for reminding your soul that there is indeed a higher path. May the Lord be with you today. May His peace surround you and may His voice guide you in every step. We will meet again tomorrow morning. Amen.